Have you ever had the sudden, unshakable feeling that someone was watching you? You're walking down an empty street, late at night. The only sound is your own footsteps echoing through the darkness. Everything seems quiet, almost too quiet. Then, without warning, a strange sensation crawls up your spine. Your heart beats a little faster. You stop. Slowly, you turn around. No one is there. Yet the feeling refuses to disappear. Almost every human being has experienced this moment. It happens in empty parking lots, silent forests, abandoned buildings, crowded classrooms, and even inside our own homes. Sometimes we catch ourselves closing the curtains before changing clothes, even when no one could possibly see us. Other times, the simple realization that someone is observing us is enough to make us stumble over our words or forget what we were about to say. But why? Is it merely imagination? A trick of the mind? Or is something much older, quietly at work, beneath our awareness? Scientists believe the answer reaches back hundreds of thousands of years, long before cities, before civilization, and even before written language. Hidden inside your brain is an ancient survival system that evolved in a world where being watched could mean the difference between life and death. And once you understand how that system works, you'll never think about that eerie feeling the same way again. Imagine yourself standing on the edge of an African savanna nearly 200,000 years ago. The sun has almost disappeared below the horizon. Long shadows stretch across the grasslands as the air grows strangely still. Somewhere in the distance, insects buzz. Birds suddenly stop singing. At first, nothing seems unusual, but experienced hunters know that silence often speaks louder than noise. Somewhere beyond the tall grass, another pair of eyes may already be watching. Not human eyes. A leopard crouched low beneath the bushes. A lion waiting patiently in the fading light. Unlike humans, predators rarely announce themselves. They don't roar before attacking. They observe. They wait. They study every movement. They search for weakness, distraction, hesitation. The prey that noticed those invisible eyes even a few seconds earlier was far more likely to survive. Generation after generation, evolution rewarded individuals whose brains constantly searched for signs of hidden observers. Those who ignored subtle cues often never had the opportunity to pass on their genes. Slowly, across thousands of generations, our ancestors developed an extraordinary sensitivity to the possibility of being watched. Not certainty, possibility. And that distinction would change the course of human evolution. Modern humans often imagine the brain as a logical machine carefully analyzing evidence before making decisions. Reality is far stranger. Your brain doesn't wait for proof. It predicts. Every second, billions of neurons work together to answer one urgent question. Am I safe? Long before you're consciously aware of your surroundings, ancient regions deep inside the brain are already scanning for patterns that once signaled danger, a sudden silence, an unexpected movement, a pair of eyes, a shadow that doesn't quite belong. One of the most important players in this process is the amygdala, a small almond-shaped structure buried deep within the brain. Think of it as an ancient alarm system, not one that tells you exactly what's happening, but one that constantly asks, what if? What if that movement behind the tree isn't the wind? What if those footsteps belong to someone following you? What if someone is already watching? The remarkable thing is that the amygdala often reacts before your conscious mind understands why. That's why your body sometimes freezes before your thoughts catch up. Your pulse quickens. Your muscles tense. You instinctively glance over your shoulder. Only afterward does your rational mind begin searching for an explanation. Most of the time, there isn't one. But evolution was never designed to eliminate false alarms. It was designed to prevent fatal mistakes. Mistakenly believing someone is watching you costs very little. Failing to notice when someone actually is watching could cost everything. But predators weren't the only danger our ancestors faced. As human intelligence grew, so did something even more unpredictable: other humans. Unlike lions or wolves, People could hide intentions behind expressions. They could cooperate, deceive, compete, and betray. Rival groups observed neighboring tribes from concealed hillsides, waiting for the perfect moment to attack. Hunters tracked one another's movements. Competitors watched for weakness. Even within a tribe, individuals quietly monitored status, trustworthiness, and loyalty. Being watched no longer meant only physical danger. It also meant social danger. A careless mistake could damage your reputation. A moment of selfishness might cause others to stop trusting you. In small prehistoric communities, where everyone depended on one another for food and protection, losing the confidence of the group could be almost as dangerous as facing a predator alone. Suddenly, the fear of being watched expanded beyond survival. It became part of identity itself. Your ancestors learned to monitor not only the environment, but also themselves. How they spoke, how they behaved, how others perceived them. This ancient psychological shift transformed humanity forever. For the first time, the observer wasn't always hiding behind the trees. Sometimes, the observer was another member of your own tribe. And sometimes the most relentless observer of all was the voice that had slowly formed inside your own mind. Because the greatest mystery isn't why we fear being watched by others. It's why, even when no one is there, we often feel as though someone still is. But something extraordinary happened as humans evolved. The eyes we feared were no longer always outside us. Slowly, over thousands of generations, we began carrying the watcher within. Imagine standing before your tribe after making a mistake. No one says a word, yet you can feel dozens of eyes fixed on you. Before anyone speaks, your face grows warm, your stomach tightens. You instinctively lower your gaze. That feeling is embarrassment, one of the most uniquely human emotions. It exists because our ancestors depended on one another. Food was shared, children were protected together, dangerous hunts required trust. Being rejected by the group wasn't simply painful, it could become a death sentence. So evolution built something remarkable into the human mind. It gave us the ability to imagine how other people see us. Today, psychologists call this self-awareness, and it shapes almost every decision we make. You adjust your clothes before entering a meeting. You rehearse what you're about to say. You think twice before making a risky joke. But here's the strange part. Most people aren't paying nearly as much attention to you as you believe. Scientists call this the spotlight effect, our tendency to overestimate how much others notice our actions, appearance, and mistakes. Your brain behaves as though a spotlight is constantly shining on you, even when everyone else is focused on themselves. In other words, the feeling of being watched often continues, even when nobody is actually looking. The ancient survival system has become so deeply embedded that your own mind now plays the role of the observer. At first glance, modern life seems completely different from the world of our ancestors. There are no lions hiding behind office desks, no rival tribes waiting behind supermarket shelves. Yet the sensation of being watched may be stronger today than at any other point in human history. Walk into a classroom, and dozens of eyes turn toward you when your name is called. Stand on a stage, and every heartbeat seems louder than the last. Post a photo online, and within seconds, strangers begin judging it. Every notification, every comment, every view count reminds your brain of something ancient. Someone is watching. Social media has transformed billions of people into both observers and the observed. We carefully choose photos, rewrite captions, delete messages before sending them, and wonder what others think, even when they're complete strangers. Then there are the cameras. On street corners, inside elevators, at airports, in stores. Whether or not anyone is actively watching the footage doesn't matter. Research has shown that even the simple belief that we might be observed changes our behavior. People become more generous, more honest, and more likely to follow rules when they think someone is looking. It's as though our ancient brain still whispers the same warning it did on the savannah. Be careful, eyes may be nearby. The predators have changed, but the instinct remains. Instinct, perhaps the greatest mystery, isn't why we sometimes feel watched. It's why the feeling can be so convincing. The answer lies in one of evolution's oldest strategies. Imagine hearing a rustle in the bushes. If it's only the wind and you run away, you've lost a few moments. But if it's a predator and you ignore it, you may lose everything. Evolution favors caution over certainty. Your brain is designed to produce false alarms because false alarms are usually harmless. Missing a real threat is far more dangerous. This tendency is known as hypervigilance, a state in which the brain constantly searches for possible danger, even when evidence is incomplete. It's why you sometimes glance over your shoulder after hearing footsteps. Why an empty house suddenly feels unsettling at night. Why a pair of eyes in a painting can seem strangely alive. Why direct eye contact instantly captures your attention. Your attention system evolved to treat eyes as one of the most important signals in the environment. Another person's gaze can reveal curiosity, attraction, hostility, deception, or danger within a fraction of a second. Long before language, eyes became one of humanity's oldest forms of communication. Perhaps that's why they still hold such extraordinary power over us today. So, why do humans fear being watched? Because for most of our history, being watched was never just a feeling. It was information. It meant a predator had found you. A rival had noticed you. A tribe was judging you. A mistake might carry consequences. Over hundreds of thousands of years, evolution transformed those dangers into instincts that still live inside every human brain. That ancient system influences your confidence, your privacy, your relationships, your morality, and even the person you believe yourself to be. It encourages cooperation, protects your reputation, pushes you to think before you act. And sometimes, it makes you feel uneasy in an empty room where no one is actually there. The world has changed dramatically. Cities have replaced forests. Smartphones have replaced campfires. CCTV cameras have replaced hidden predators. Yet your brain still carries echoes of a much older world. The next time you suddenly turn around because you feel someone is watching you, remember this. It may not be proof that unseen eyes are following you. It may simply be one of the oldest survival systems ever created, an invisible guardian that has protected your ancestors for thousands of generations. And perhaps the strangest truth of all is that the ancient mind inside your skull is still scanning the darkness, doing exactly what evolution designed it to do,